The bad news is the New York Islanders lost their second straight game to start the season, but the good news is Matthew Schaefer has been outstanding. We'll talk about his historical day and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for almost 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 to the modern era. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey, and we have got a lot to discuss. Boy, Matthew Schaefer has been outstanding. Another record-setting performance by the first overall pick in this year's draft. We'll talk about what he's done and what it means for the team. We'll also have our key takeaways from the loss to the Washington Capitals on Saturday night. And we'll look ahead and preview the Monday afternoon matinee, Columbus Day matinee, against the Winnipeg Jets. All that plus our Islanders birthday of the day coming up on today's episode. Got to start with Matthew Schaefer. And, I mean, he is as advertised so far and more. Scoring his first career NHL goal against the Washington Capitals, made a great play. This one comes with a loose puck in front of the net, and he skates up and pokes it home, and just incredible. The enthusiasm, the excitement, and the way he played, and it went well beyond just scoring a goal. So he's 18 years and 36 days old at the time of the goal Saturday night. He became the youngest defenseman to score an NHL goal in 81 years. Ross Johnstone scoring for the Toronto Maple Leafs on February 29th, 1944, and keep in mind that's during World War II when a lot of younger players were in the league because players 18 and older, many of them were fighting in World War II. So just an unbelievable mark there. He's the 5th youngest player in the last 50 years to score a goal, and the other 4, pretty good company. Alexander Barkov, Jordan Stahl, Patrick Marleau, and yes, former Islander Nino Niederreiter. So just incredible. And it goes beyond the goal, okay? After the game, Islanders head coach Patrick Roy discussed the fact that Schaefer was the best player for the Islanders on the ice. And basically, Roy indicated that Schaefer's great play, quote unquote, forced him to keep him out on the ice. So Schaefer finishes this game with 8 shots on goal. He blocked a shot. He's on the ice for 26 minutes and 4 seconds. No other Islanders defenseman was on the ice for more than 18 minutes and 48 seconds. And his number was basically 4.5 minutes more than the next Islanders player, which was Matthew Barzal. There is no doubt that Schaefer, he has speed, he has great hockey sense, and he gives you 100% on every shift. He sets the pace for hockey games when he's on the ice. And I'll take it a step further. He is also one of the few players on this Islanders roster who can keep up with a Matthew Barzal. And seeing the two of them out there at times together on the power play with their speed, with their skating ability, their vision, there is potential. And the way Schaefer handled the goal, and boy, that 7-8 minute review after the goal on the hand pass, guys, give me a break, right? I mean, it's supposed to be, if the replay shows an obvious thing, you overturn it. It shouldn't take 8 minutes. The goal was properly upheld. But look at this. Look at this. Here is a game that the Islanders ended up losing by a score of 4-2. Schaefer is out on the ice for 26 out of 60 minutes. He is the only Islanders defenseman who was even in plus minus. Romanov was -3, D'Angelo -2, Pelech, Polak, Mayfield -1 each. What we see, and make no mistake about it, Matthew Schaefer is not as good as he's going to get. He is not a complete player yet. He still has aspects of his game that need to be worked on, getting stronger, putting on muscle, positional defensive play. It's solid, but it could obviously be better. And look, once he gains experience, puts on a little muscle, gets a little older, the thing about Schaefer is you have no doubt that he's capable of doing all these things to get to the next level. His work ethic, his enthusiasm. See, this is, as an Islander observer, as someone who covers this team, who is a fan of this team, it's a mixed bag. The good news is you have found a player who is a talent that this roster hasn't seen in a long time. And that's fantastic. And the fact is, he really was. Patrick Waugh was right. Matthew Schaefer, by far, was the best player on the ice in this game for the New York Islanders. But the bad news, or the flip side of that, because I think in the short term it's bad news, but in the long term it's probably good news. The good news is that it exposes the number of passengers that this team has far too frequently on the ice. And so you've got this guy who is just faster and smarter than almost anybody else on the ice, both teams, and it's only his second career NHL game. And I'm not saying he played flawlessly. He needs work in certain areas, but the potential for this kid is off the charts. And his maturity for a kid who's 18 years and a month old is off the charts. And his enthusiasm is contagious. There is something electric about Matthew Schaefer. And watching the way he's already bonding, he and his family are bonding with the fans of Long Island, and the way the fans are enthused about him. I think the next most recent example is John Tavares, who Islander fans were desperate for something better when Tavares came along. And while Tavares never quite became the superstar that his first overall pick dictated, he became a star. He became a very good player who lifted the Islanders up from the bottom of the league to a playoff team. Left the team under the wrong circumstances. But Schaefer, there is something electric about this kid. There is something special about this kid. And, you know, defensemen usually take longer than forwards to develop. This kid is there now. And if I had any doubts about whether Matthew Schaefer stays beyond 9 games this year, they are all but gone. Yeah, is it possible he gets hurt? Heaven forbid. Yeah. Is it possible he has 3 or 4 bad games in the next 7 games that he's entitled to before a decision has to be made? Yeah, I'm sure he'll have his share of games where he just isn't great. But one thing I can tell after just 2 games, sending him back to juniors, if you're making it solely on the basis of hockey sense, it doesn't help him in his development at all. He will go down to juniors and dominate. But will he grow as a player? Will it make him better? No. It would be stagnation for him. Now, if you want to argue that, we don't want to waste a year of his ELC because the Islanders team probably, not going far this year, and we want to have him ready, you can make that argument from a purely financial standpoint. We don't want to use a year of his ELC on a situation where even with him, the team is probably not making the playoffs. I can understand that, but I think it goes against the ultimate goal. And everydayers will remember, I've talked about this before. The ultimate goal this season, the playoffs would be great. It would be a bonus. I don't think the team is there. But the ultimate goal this year is to maximize the talents of your younger players, whether it's a Matthew Schaefer or a Cal Ritchie when he starts playing every day. You got to maximize that. And to me, you move out more of the veterans and you end up acquiring more picks, more prospects, and more NHL-ready younger players. That is the goal of this season. But as far as hockey is concerned, there is no doubt in my mind that Matthew Schaefer is capable of playing in the NHL, that he has the maturity to handle the NHL. Will he be able to put up with 82 games of the physical pounding that the body takes? We'll find out. But this kid is special. And while I'm not ready to declare him the next Norris Trophy winner or the next generational talent, the potential for him to be those things has certainly showed itself in just 2 regular season games. He's at a point a game pace, which I don't think he's necessarily going to keep up. But boy, this kid has the potential to be something special. We've got more to get to on today's show. We'll talk about what went wrong against the Capitals on Saturday. We'll have our hero and go to the game. We'll also preview Monday's game against the Winnipeg Jets. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a Princeton University native who went to Yale University and played with the Islanders in the late 80s to early 90s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We'll talk about his impact on the team. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I love how if you and your significant other are sharing an account, Monarch Money can keep you both on the same page. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. So the Islanders fall 4-2 to the Capitals in the home opener. And the one thing I got to start with from this game is, where was this team in the first 38 minutes of this game? They just did not seem ready to play. And that is just not acceptable. You're behind 4-0. in the first 35 and a half minutes of this game. And ultimately, you're not coming back too often, especially a team with the lack of overall scoring depth that the Islanders' present roster has. The odds of you coming back from a 4-0 deficit late in the second period are not great. And part of this is on the coach, no question. Patrick Roy, it's been an issue with him and his teams, but the issue predates Patrick Roy, and it remains a problem that the New York Islanders, this is a veteran team. You would think, yes, it is the job of the coach to inspire the players to whatever extent and make sure they're mentally ready to play. But you go up and down this roster, there are so many veterans, so many guys who have been in this league 8, 9, 11 plus years, guys who are 30 and over. We've talked about that so often on this podcast. They should be motivated. This is the home opener. The blood should be pumping. You should come out excited and ready to play. And for the far too many times, this team has not been able to do that. And that is just not acceptable. And it's something that I want to see. Look, I am a big Anders Lee fan on and off the ice. I respect everything he's done. But as captain, this is a situation where Anders Lee has to step up and basically say to his teammates, guys, this isn't good enough. And there were some bright spots in this game, don't get me wrong, but overall, for the first 2 periods of this game, maybe you count the last couple of minutes of the second period as better for the New York Islanders, and then all of the third, but by then you're losing 4-0. They have got to be better in their own zone. They have got to clear pucks out of the zone. They've got to clear players from out in front of Ilya Sorokin, and Ilya Sorokin has got to be better. I am not going to sit here and tell you Ilya Sorokin was the reason the Islanders lost this hockey game. I think their team defense was the number one reason. But in 2 games, Sorokin is 0-2. He has a 4.21 goals against average and an .860 save percentage. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Ilya Sorokin is the reason that they are 0-2, but he hasn't played well enough to make them 2-0 either. And again, even with these additions of your Jonathan Drouins and your Heinemans and the fact that you have a healthy Duclair and a healthy Barzal, the Islanders are still in the bottom half of this league as far as offensive talent is concerned. And you need your goalie. You need your goalie to be one of your best players. And in the first 2 games so far, he hasn't been. Now, I'm not panicking. It's 80 games left, right? I mean, okay. But you've got to have better. Now, some things that I've been encouraged by. The power play got 2 goals. Both Islander goals against the Capitals came with the man advantage. I mentioned after the season opener Thursday night that even though the power play didn't score, they did get looks. They were moving the puck better. We did see results in game number 2 Saturday night. And then Anthony Duclair scores a goal. He's playing better. Kyle Palmieri leading the team right now with 3 points in 2 games. He is off to a solid start. But, and we've seen some flashes from Shabanov, who scored a goal in the first game and had some good looks at least against the Capitals. But you've got to be ready to play. You've got to be physical, and you've got to come out and hit. And again, I'm going to mention this. Mark Gatcomb came in and replaced Jonathan Drouin, who was serving his 1-game suspension. Gatcomb was on the ice for 8.5 minutes and had 7 hits. That tied him with Casey Cizikas for the team lead. Emil Heineman, 6. He was next on the list. I want that to be your fourth line. Cizikas, Gatcom, Heineman. Not necessarily what's going to happen, but I can see that being a tone-setting, physical fourth line. What we saw Saturday night was A, how good Matthew Schaefer can be, and B, how the rest of this roster lacks enough top-end talent to compete with some of the better teams. There is a lot to clean up, defensively especially. Getting the puck out of your own zone, picking up guys who are in front of the net, picking up the open man, being positionally sound, skating the puck out. These are all things that a lot of the players, not just defensemen, but also forwards, need to work on. There's work to be done. It's only 2 games in. I'm not ready to throw away the season at this point, but, you know, as I mentioned, everydayers will recall before the season started, The Athletic gave the Islanders a 30% chance to make the playoffs this year. I said that's about right, and I stand by it. There's talent on this team, but there's not enough high-end talent. There's not enough depth, and the defense is a question mark. Alexander Romanov, -3 in the game against the Washington Capitals. He has to be better than he's been. And it's not just him. Pelech, Polak, a lot of these guys struggling in their own zone. It is time to start turning things around. And, well, let's just say we're only 2 games into the season, but the next couple of games are against tough opponents, and we're going to see how this team responds. Hero and go to the game real quick. Hero has got to be Matthew Schaefer. No question about that. And the go to the game is going to be the team defense. I just need to see. Keep it simple. Do the KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid. Just get the puck out of the zone and transition. You can't spend 90 seconds, 2 minutes in your own zone, especially against a talented team like the Capitals, and hope it works. We have got more to get to on today's show. We will preview the Monday matinee game against the defending President's Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets. We'll have that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day, next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays to increase my odds. I've tried player props, and I've even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, place your first $5 bet, and if it hits, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Islanders, Jets, 1 o'clock Eastern time, the Columbus Day matinee at UBS Arena. And before we even get to the Jets, Sunday's practice, new line combinations. Why? Because, well, Jonathan Drouin back in the lineup. So the top line for the Islanders in practice Sunday, Horvat, Drouin, and Heineman. Matthew Barzal, Anthony Duclair, and Kyle Palmieri now on the second line, indicating that Duclair has played well and deserves to be moved up. Your third line, J.G. Pageau, who has not looked great so far this year, Anders Lee, and Max Shabanov. And then your fourth line, Zizekas, Holmstrom, and Siplikov. You had 3 extra forwards practicing. Kyle McLean, Mark Gatcom, and yes, Cal Ritchie back out there on the ice. No timetable yet, however, for his return. And then defensively, it's still D'Angelo Romanov, Polak Pelech, Mayfield Schaefer, with Boqvist being the extra defenseman. Meanwhile, Wah announcing that Ilya Sorokin will start against Winnipeg. That means he will start all of the team's first 3 games. The official quote from Wah: we have 2 very good goalies. We're confident in both of them, but Ilya is one of the best in the game, and there's no reason not to use him right now. I'll give you a reason not to use him right now. You can agree or disagree, but the reason is, again, you don't want to wear him out. I don't want him starting more than 52, 55 games all season. Otherwise, he's more likely to get hurt. He's more likely to struggle. We mentioned the 15 back-to-back games because it's an Olympic year. I am not saying, oh my gosh, the sky is falling because he's starting Ilya Sorokin 3 games in a row. But to me, you got to be really careful about not overusing him. And if you're not confident in David Rittich, you've got to get a backup goalie that you are confident in. Or, by the time we get to January, we could be in real trouble as far as Ilya Sorokin is concerned. Now, the Winnipeg Jets are the opponent. They are now 7th in the league in goals scored, 7th in goals against. Their power play off to a slow start at 12.5%. Their penalty kill at 90%. So that is certainly solid. Connor Hellebuck has started both games for Winnipeg, and he's not off to a great start. 3.54 goals against average and 8.99 save percentage. You know the names at the top of this lineup: Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor. Scheifele, 5 points in 2 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. Connor with 3 goals and a helper. Overall, you look up and down this lineup. They won the President's Trophy last year. They are a talented team. Scheifele, Connor, and Gabriel Velarde are the top line. Jonathan Taves back in the NHL. He's the 2C with Alex Iafallo and Nikita Chibrikov on either side of him. Vladislav Nemestikov centers Nito Niederreiter and Gustav Nyquist on the third line. So you got a former Islander there in Niederreiter. Morgan Barron centers Cole Kopke and Tanner Pearson on the fourth line. On defense, Josh Morrissey and Dylan DeMello are the top pair. Neil Pionk and Hayden Fleury are the second pair. Got to keep an eye on Fleury's injury status. Logan Stanley and Luke Shen are the third pair. We don't know if it'll be Hellebuck or Eric Comrie. On IR, Cole Perfetti, Dylan Samberg, and Adam Lowry. Fleury right now listed as day-to-day. Not going to be easy to beat the Winnipeg Jets. They are a big, skilled, fast team. We know the Islanders have struggled at matinees. They are going to have their hands full with this Winnipeg team, and we'll see how they respond. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day, and Sunday was the 62nd birthday of former Islanders winger Randy Wood. The Princeton, New Jersey native went to Yale, spent 4 years there, undrafted, made his Islanders debut and NHL debut in the 86-87 season, scored his first NHL goal in 6 games, became a full-time Islander in 87-88, scored 22 goals that year, and then had back-to-back 24-goal seasons in 89-90 and 90-91. Was traded to Buffalo early in the 91-92 campaign as part of the Pat LaFontaine trade. Later played for Buffalo, Toronto, Dallas, and a brief stint with the Islanders at the end of his career in 96-97. Wood, a middle six, two-way forward, had 175 goals and 334 points in 741 NHL games, at 8 goals, 17 points in 51 playoff games. His best game as an Islander we found a fitting one. January 19th, 1990, Islanders in Winnipeg at the Winnipeg Arena to take on the original Jets. Glenn Healy, the goalie for the Islanders. Bob Essenza, the goalie for the Jets. And after Dale Hawerchuk put the Jets up 1-0, the Islanders go to the power play with Paul McDermott in the box for holding. And our Islanders' birthday of the day, Randy Wood, scores his 13th goal of the year on the power play. Alan Kerr and Doug Crossman get the helpers. Then, with the score tied 2-2 early in the second, again, the Islanders on the power play. This time, Doug Smale off for charging. Doug Crossman and Jeff Norton set up Randy Wood for his second goal of the game. And then late in the period, again, Islanders down a goal. Wood completes the hat trick again on the power play. Pat LaFontaine and Jeff Norton with the assist. Islanders go on to win this one 6-4. Trottier's empty netter seals it. But for our Islanders' birthday of the day, Randy Wood, he had the hat trick. All 3 goals coming on the power play. He had 5 shots on goal, which tied him with Pat LaFontaine for the team lead. It turned out to be his only NHL hat trick, but Randy Wood is our Islanders' birthday of the day. I want to thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. And you could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR vs NYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game, so join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. We will be back tomorrow, everydayers. We'll have our key takeaways from the game against Winnipeg, and we'll have the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings, so make sure you join us for that. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.